Do not move to Highlands.
Wait, what do you have against being in one of the most walkable neighborhoods with friendly people and so much fun stuff to do?
Okay, there's a lot of pros, but there's some cons you've definitely got to know about. So if you decide to settle in with the idea that you're going to be on the hunt for parking every day of your life, then this video is for you, because we're going to break down all the things that you've got to know about the Highlands in Denver before you move here.
Let's check out all the cons.
Let's go!
Okay, so this might be our boldest do not move to video yet.
What do you mean by boldest?
Well, this is just the coolest neighborhood we're trying to take down. We're talking about the Highlands, which is Highlands, Potter Highlands, Sunnyside, West Highland. And this is one of the most desirable neighborhoods to move from. In fact, if you're from California, you're probably attracted to the Highlands like a moth to a flame. This is a beautiful neighborhood. It's got really beautiful houses. There's plenty of single family homes, some really cool duplexes. It's very walkable, maybe the most walkable neighborhood in Denver. Lots of great restaurants, lots of great coffee shops. So what is such a struggle about living in the Highlands? Struggle number one with the Highlands is the cost. The homes here are very expensive because you're paying a premium to be in such an awesome location. So you're gonna have smaller homes, higher price per square foot, and you can have very small lots. So if you're looking for a big yard, this is not necessarily your neighborhood unless you're willing to go more up towards about $2 million. Then you can find a couple premium lots with beautiful houses on top of them. So what do I mean by expensive? It's definitely more expensive than Denver as a whole. So in order to get into this neighborhood, you can find a few very small homes, probably around 1,000 square feet, maybe less, in the $500,000 to $600,000 range. They might need some work, they might leave a little bit to be desired, but you can definitely get in there if that's what you're optimizing for. If you're just looking for your average home, you're probably looking more in the upper 800s, lower 900s, and there's plenty of luxury homes available, anywhere from $1.5 to $3 million. Okay, but what's positive about that? Less space in your home and less space in your backyard forces you out into the community. I've talked about this many times, but this is one of the friendliest communities in Denver. It's so easy to get out to a park and make friends. If you've got kids, you go to the park and someone's gonna talk to you. So all of the Californians that live here, you're all making friends. It's a great place. And so there's something to be said about front porch culture, getting you out into the neighborhood instead of staying in your tiny little private backyard. You're just not gonna do it. You're gonna be out in the community, making friends, going to restaurants, going to coffee shops. So that's the positive spin on less space for more money. People who love it here often say that they buy less stuff, spend less time inside, and spend more time in the community and the neighborhood. And I can attest to that. Some of our best friends live in this area. And they told me recently that one of their friends was moving out of the neighborhood, so they needed to add a friend, but they had to be careful because they didn't want to make too many friends because they were running out of time. So it's the kind of friendly neighborhood that you just don't find everywhere in Denver.
And you know, there's something to be said about the beauty of minimalism. I think that, I have a client who said that every time people give him gifts, if it's bigger than about this big, he gets actually frustrated because he doesn't have nowhere to put it. He's just like, do you realize that I keep both my vacuum and all of my cleaning supplies and all of my workout gear in the same closet, and now you're giving me more stuff? So I think there's something beautiful to that. But I've also had clients that lived in the Highlands or areas like it and actually moved out as their lifestyle changed. Once they had kids, they realized there's a lot of junk that comes with having kids. We're talking your diaper bags, your bottles, your diapers, all the backpacks, all the strollers, all of the baby bouncers and all the gears that come with that, another crib. And all of a sudden they realized that their space was shrinking on them. And that's why they ended up packing up and moving to the suburbs. And I think that's kind of a common thing. Now, not to say you can't totally thrive with your family in a small space. People do it and they love it and they really dive in on that minimalism. But for some people, they start to feel a little cramped.
Another set of friends and clients we have in the Highlands, they are in about 1,000 square foot home, 2 bedrooms, 3 boys. So before the third boy was born, they built an addition onto their home. So now instead of 1,000 square feet, they have about 1,200 square feet. But listen, they would never move from the Highlands because they have such a strong community there and they love the location.
Jake, is this a do not move to Highlands video, or you probably might want to move to the Highlands video?
You know, it's tough to say. Like I said, it is hard to say do not move to the Highlands.
When I show up for showings in the Highlands, I get there early because I never know how long it's going to take for me to find parking. And I used to think that the Highlands actually had pretty good street parking, but more and more they're starting to turn that street parking into resident permit only parking, which is great for the homeowner. So that's one plus for you. But every time you have guests over, they don't have that residential parking permit, and they might be circling for blocks and blocks before they find a space for them to park. And then you yourself as the owner, you might have a dedicated parking space, but a lot of the homes in the Highlands area either have a one space area or they might not have any parking at all. So it's something that you definitely want to look into. And so when we are talking about those median home sale prices, those may not include that garage. You might be pushing more towards like the $1 million mark before you start seeing the garages come with the homes. And the reason I think a garage is great is when you're on the street, you're subject to all of the side swipes, all of the cars that are coming through, people who are maybe not great at driving on the more narrow Denver streets. And then we also have a lot of hailstorms in Colorado, and those can really damage your car. Take it from me as someone who at 17, my entire car got pelted with hail and was completely totaled. And so the thing about the Highlands that a lot of people value is the walkability, which kind of negates this whole car issue. It's kind of a big part of why people move here is they don't want to hop in their car to have to go to the grocery store. They don't want to hop in their car to go do happy hour. But the truth about Denver as a whole, and we've said it before, we'll say it again, it's not the most walkable city. So for your day-to-day activities and for your entertainment and your fun, you might be able to ditch the car. But for your life as a whole, there are still probably going to be some car-dependent needs that you have, and you may still need that car.
Okay, let's talk for a second about the noise and the energy. That is not always a good thing. This is a downtown area neighborhood, and it can get loud.
Yeah, you know, for me as a suburbanite, that's how I feel. It's a big threat to my peace and my quiet. I am no longer doing anything fun. I like to be in bed early and I value sleep above everything. So this is really true for me.
But you know what? There are some quieter neighborhoods within the area. You know, that's why we're professional agents here to guide you to those quieter streets where we know you're not going to lose any sleep, or at least as much sleep.
And you know, I think that's a big reason why a lot of people pick the Highlands is you are really close to the hustle and bustle of everything that downtown has to offer, but you still are a bit removed. You're not right in it. You're kind of offset from it. So you've still got the walkability, you've still got the access without truly being in the downtown chaos.
And something characteristic of a lot of Denver neighborhoods is having a large hospital right in the neighborhood. So you're constantly having ambulances and police sirens coming in there. And the Highlands doesn't have that. So we don't have a major hospital that's really going to disrupt your sleep at night.
And listen, obviously the Highlands is a high density place, and anywhere where you're somewhere where there's a lot of high density population, there's a higher chance of something happening, like someone coming across your unlocked car and rummaging through it. I mean, of course, always go look at your own crime stats. That's an area we're not allowed to talk about too much, but just know higher density equals a higher chance of something like that happening.
All right, Megan, I got to call you out on something here, okay? So you say you're not cool anymore, but you actually haven't been cool for a long time. Even so, you still try to make it to happy hour twice a week. And tonight's Friday night, it's date night, and you're going out with your husband. Plenty of people are still cool or still like to do things at least after they have kids. And this is a great place for that because you can just walk down the street to an awesome restaurant.
That's true.
So we talked about the high price per square foot, but there are other concerns about the houses themselves. So if you're looking at older homes, which are typically going to be the ones that are under $1 million, you're talking about old, like less modernized layouts, cellar style basements or very short basements that are not great for real living space. And we're talking about some foundation issues. So you're going to have to modernize a home if it doesn't have that modern layout, which might be very costly. And Denver is notoriously difficult to work with for permitting. In addition, some of these homes are very old and foundation problems can be expensive. They're going to be very frequent in this area. Because the homes are so old, the land around them is often very flat, which means water can flow into the foundation and cause the expansive soils to expand and contract, and do crazy things to your foundation. So expect to walk into any home and spend somewhere in the neighborhood of $20,000 to $30,000 improving the grading of the ground to protect your foundation. But there are plenty of new builds in the Highlands, and you're going to find these beautiful open layout homes that are great. One precaution on that is that with new builds, they're in such a rush to build these days that they don't compact the soil. So what starts off as a nice slow grade away from the home to protect your foundation, after 5 years that ground is going to just reverse direction. So you're still having to be concerned about the water flow underneath the foundation of your home, even with a new build. While we're on newer construction, Highlands is home of the slot homes, which is kind of like this row style home. They're very skinny homes that just go up, up, and up, typically 3 levels. And a lot of people came in and they bought these homes because like, oh, it's shiny and new and beautiful. But then they go to resell it and folks come in and they're like, oh, they're calling this a 3-bedroom, but that 3rd bedroom is basically a broom closet. So this causes issues, and you're going to be dealing with some frustrating things with some of these slot homes. If it's your style, great. They often have a nice little rooftop patio, but be warned, the shiny object is not always worth going for. We're gonna hit on the yard size one more time here because I do think it's important. If you have littles, to me, sometimes it's hard to make it to the pocket park, especially when your kid wakes up and you've got a matter of 2 hours between one nap and the next nap, and you gotta pack up all the stuff and get yourself down the street to the pocket park. That is hard when you could just step out your back door and hang out in the backyard. So having a backyard is really nice. The other issue is with these small lots, a lot of times, because a lot of the older homes didn't come with a garage originally, you have a detached garage that's taking up half of your backyard. So this is a problem. If it's not for you, then neither is the Highlands.
Okay, so this con comes with a big asterisk next to it. And that's because it's kind of a con of all of Denver, but it does feel important enough that I do want to bring it up in this Highlands video. And that's that most of the Highlands doesn't have HOAs. So I know some of you are praising, getting so excited, no HOA, now I can have all this freedom, not get the nasty grams in the mail. And that's great. I do think there is something to HOAs that do something nice to protect property values and, prohibit things from, maybe not being maintained very well. But on the other hand, if that is not a bother to you, there are some townhomes and duplex style homes that don't have an HOA on them, and instead they have what we call a party wall agreement. And again, some people feel this is a pro. HOAs can cost you $400 a month on a townhome, so that is a lot of money that you're saving on your monthly payment. But the con that comes with that is in these party wall agreements, you're pretty limited in your ability to force someone to help you out in repairs that affect the whole building. So if you're in a duplex and you have a shared roof, there's definitely some nuance to when, how, and how much you're going to spend on replacing that roof. And you can't just turn to your next door neighbor and say, today's the day, we're doing it, and here's my great roofer, who's my brother and best friend, let's have him out. There's a lot more potential for some conflict around that. Cons about the Highlands. I feel like we could use one more negative. Do you have anything else bad about the Highlands?
I'm really reaching for it, but I can't figure anything out.
It's, that's a pretty good video. I think there's a lot to like about the Highlands, so.
Do you have a favorite thing?
I've got a favorite thing about the Highlands. I feel like something that I really love about the Highlands is, like I mentioned, that proximity to the access of all these cool things. Like we love going to Avanti and Linger and all the stuff that's like right over in Low High. And not being right in the downtown, we riffed a little bit on parking, but you can actually find pretty good parking a lot of the time. Do you have anything that you don't like about Highlands that we could wrap it up with?
My least favorite thing about the Highlands is that it's so far away and all my friends live there.
And the Highlands is stealing your friends.
Thanks for having fun with us today. If you want to know more about more Denver areas, you know where to find it on our channel. That's what we're all about. But do you know we just do this for fun? What our real jobs is we are full-time real estate agents, just part-time tour guides to Denver living. So reach out to us in the description below. We've got all your favorite methods of communication, and we are so excited to hear from you.
We are here to make sure you understand all the intricate details of the differences between the coolest neighborhoods, whether it's the best one for young professionals or for families who are looking to be close to the action. We'll see you next time.